feel like the podcast's better this way.
With what?
What do you mean?
I tried to. Oh no! Hang on, give me a sec. Oh no, the joke hasn't been working. This is the joke. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Goats Podcast, where your favourite three white guys get together and try and figure out the very best in every category. I'm Vinny, and I'll be hosting tonight's episode. And as always, I have Mork and Sebek in the virtual studio. But before I ask them how they're doing, I'll just quickly say, if you like our little podcast and if you'd like to support it, why not give us a cheeky little follow on Instagram at _goats_pod. Or even just head over to our Patreon and give us some money if you really like us for some reason. Giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast if you're so inclined as well, because that really does help too. Anyway, with that out of the way, how are you both doing?
Good.
I'm doing all right, mate.
We've had an exciting week, haven't we, Seb?
Yeah, well, we've had a bit of a romantic week together, really.
Yeah. We've been a couple of gay dads going out, haven't we?
It's great.
With our son.
I just imagine, yeah, we just two dads just having a good time, and it's actually been really fun. We went fishing, we've been metal detecting, we went up the cabin.
Yeah.
Leo got a deer tick on him. That was a bit bad.
A deer tick?
It was
big.
It was fine. No, I just picked it up. It was all right. But he did just sit and watch us. I don't know if you saw the video, Vinny, that I sent you of us throwing the battle axe at the piece of wood.
Yeah, I saw that.
Also,
he loved that. And we had a bow and arrow there as well. So
we did have a bow and arrow, and I actually didn't tell Michael this because I didn't want Leo to get told off. But I think it's quite a funny story, so I'm just going to tell it now because it's too late to tell him off. Leo 100% shot me in the back of the leg with it. And
yeah, I know. I heard.
No, but he didn't throw it. He shot me in the back of the leg.
Oh, lol.
He pulled it and let it go, and it smacked me in the back of the leg. And I turned around, and he looked really stunned, and I was like, "Don't do that." And he was like, but like, it's just one of them dumb kid things where they just go like, thunk, and I just heard it go, "Oh, you're going back into the back of my leg," and I was like, "Oh, Christ."
I didn't train him well enough. I meant him to aim for your head.
What was the arrow like?
It was just
just some rusty old arrow.
Just a pretty boring standard arrow. It didn't have just had a quite blunt metal tip, so it didn't go in my leg. He didn't pull it back anywhere near far enough. It was just like
oh, okay.
It was like someone whipping it into the back of your leg, but it did hurt.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and we went metal detecting today, didn't we? We got a fucking treasure trove haul of metal detecting. We filled like a whole bag. We got a bunch of tin foil. We found a Coke can.
Jesus.
We found a ring pull. We found 4 bottle caps.
4? We found 6 pence.
Yeah, we found 6p. We got a tent peg. We got a hairpin. We found a barbecue.
A whole barbecue?
And
I think that's about it.
Like one of them disposable ones that someone that someone had buried. And then also we found out that this probably won't make the edit, but we found out
and all the old blokes like, if you find anything from 1852, it was mine, I lost it. And we're like, oh, good one, lad.
Several old men made that joke one after the other.
They waited their turn. They were like in a line, just waiting to say the same joke.
They're just taking fucking tickets.
What is
like the meat counter?
What is it with like men once they hit like 30 or like once they're like been a dad for like 5 years, they all just start making the exact same jokes. Like they're all the exact same person.
Huh? What? I feel like my time on this podcast is short-lived.
Yeah. But
nah.
What have you been doing, Vinny?
Yeah, I did D&D. I did a whole D&D session. I DM'd it, and it was one me and my friend were making from scratch. for like months now. So a lot of work, like a disgusting amount of work went into it, and it finally came to fruition on Monday night. And it was really, really good. It went way smoother than I expected, and it was honestly so much fun. Absolutely loved it.
And we are going to be sampling that tomorrow, because we are going to do it as we record this tomorrow. So as you listen to this, fucking ages ago.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you guys want to like record it for like Patreon or something? We don't have to, but it might be it could be a novel idea.
Yeah.
A bit of a long... We could do, if it works.
But just don't. I don't know. Maybe also, but then also, like, I feel like I would. Then I'd start to like second guess what I was saying, and.
Oh yeah, maybe
maybe not.
Natural.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
okay, then we won't. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys at home then.
Yeah. Well, they won't hear this bit anyway.
Well, yeah. Oh my god. Cool. Did you guys hear that? It's the goat's entrance music. Which means this week we're going to be looking at crowning the GOAT wrestler.
Yeah.
Now, wrestling is one of, if not the oldest competitive sport known to mankind, dating back as much as at least 15,000 years. There's nothing more primal than pitting two people together in a straight-up battle of might and strength to see who comes out of the ring victorious. But since those primitive days, wrestling has evolved to be much more than what you see in the Olympics with quote-unquote real wrestling. Whether it's the theatrics, it's a South Park joke. Whether it's the theatrics,
I love that. That episode is so fun.
Oh, okay, so I didn't know.
They're like, what is this? They're just like, it's like super homoerotic.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like getting more pissed off. Whether it's the theatrics of the WWE, the flair of Mexico's lucha libre, or the intense storylines of Japanese pro wrestling, there's no doubt it's always endlessly entertaining. Mm-hmm. So who wants to let me know who's the greatest wrestler of all time first?
Twat.
I won the arbitrary game of rock paper scissors.
Well, why did you try and say me as fast as possible then?
Because I know what you're like.
I know
you're a little rat boy, and you would have just been like, Well, you obviously don't, because you lost in rock paper scissors and went, he never goes paper, and then you didn't get there first. So I am better. Like, what are you on about, mate?
Cool. Right.
Mate, I am gonna fucking destroy you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow night.
What's happening tomorrow night?
About 8 o'clock, mate. Get ready to be fucking... Your ankles are gonna get annihilated, mate.
Oh, football. I thought you were going to sexually assault me.
You better close your legs, son, because...
Oh, no.
There's going to be balls flying through the hole.
No.
I'm talking about footy.
Up the fucking Arsenal.
Oh, no.
Oh. Go on then, sir. Fucking get this show with.
Yeah, hang on.
I know, I'm trying to get it so I can see you and also...
I know, I hate that. I have that problem.
Oh, do you not? Oh, yeah, because you have one monitor. Yeah, honestly, one monitor sucks. You need to at least.
Well, I do normally, but I'm at my dad's.
I could have two monitors in here, couldn't I? Because I've got a laptop. I could just get a random TV screen, couldn't I?
Yeah.
I've got one, a spare one, if you want it.
We should do it.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I want it.
Yeah.
It's so nice, honestly.
That's so much easier, yeah. Because then you can see what's going on. Anyway. I don't know much about professional wrestling. I'm joking. Is the timer going?
Sure, it can be.
Okay, well, look. I was going to do a little bit about intro music and stuff, but I think Vinny covered that. So I'm just going to say it like it is. I don't know really anything about professional wrestling. I didn't have a TV until I was 11. So that bit of I feel like pre-teens time, like between like maybe 6 and 10 is when pro wrestling is you are the captive audience. You are its perfect audience. And I missed that. However, I was shocked by how much it had sort of impacted my life without me really realizing. I wrote this little bit without without looking it up. I just tried to think of how many, and like I could name Mankind, The Big Show, Chris Jericho, Macho Man Randy Savage. Like I know those people, and I've never really watched wrestling, so like clearly it does have quite a big impact. And it's no secret there's obviously some other wrestlers that are like way bigger that have entered the mainstream, like The Rock or John Cena. Obviously, quick honorable mention: John Cena, not my pick for GOAT, but he does seem like a pretty cool guy. He's set the world record for Make-A-Wish Foundation wishes, granting over 650 separate wishes, which I think, fair play.
Yeah.
But chilly. Nothing to arrest. What?
You not seen that Bing chilling thing?
No.
Oh my god, you guys have not seen Bing chilling. Basically, so John Cena became really good friends with like the Chinese government, and he went over there and he like learned Chinese. And so there's this video of him talking about something. I can't remember what it is. He's talking about something in Chinese, but he keeps, because he's got like an ice cream, and he's saying ice cream in Chinese loads, and it's something close to like Bing chilling, and so he's like saying like Chinese, and he goes Bing chilling, and just like holds up this ice cream and just keeps on saying it. It's really funny.
There's also just to like, because I was about to say the fucking Dwayne The Rock Johnson doesn't deserve to lick John Cena's boots, and there is a genuine. Just search this up. There's a famous clip of John Cena who was doing. He only did like, I want to say, one show in China, and he learned Chinese enough to do that show properly.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a clip of The Rock saying like, you don't understand what I'm saying, so I'm going to talk you to in a language that you do understand. And then he basically just goes like ching chong chow tong 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 tong, and like does like a fake Chinese accent on stage.
God.
The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, yes.
Fucking hell.
Let's resurface that clip and get that cancel button out, boys.
Wow.
Yeah. And also,
I can't stand The Rock.
Editor, overlay the clip, not me going ching chong chow, because obviously
you're the editor.
I'm illustrating a point. Actually, do you know? I think it's fine. I'm illustrating a point.
You're quoting someone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, look. And then I was like thinking about, well, what makes a GOAT wrestler to me? Like, and I started thinking about like wrestlers who then transcended into like actual fighting, like, Brock Lesnar, roids or no roids. He did go from like pro wrestling, like fake fighting, to cage fighting to become the UFC heavyweight champion. Like that is really impressive.
Wow.
But then I was like, is that really the point? Like pro wrestling isn't real fighting, but that's not the point. That's okay. In fact, that's more than okay. That is the whole idea of it. Yeah. It's about the spectacle, the athleticism, and the wow factor. And for me, when it comes to wow factor, there's only one name in pro wrestling, one true GOAT for like wow factor, and that is the one, the only, the 7'4", 236 kilogram, eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
Nice.
Now,
I thought you were going to say Chris Benoit.
I
You love Chris Benoit.
I was good. That's so yeah. I actually was going to make a joke about when it comes to wow factor, Chris Benoit, but I cut that. But I'm glad that you brought that up. That yeah.
You love it.
Anyway,
you love him. You love the whole flying headbutt thing.
I don't love it. I just think it's really interesting that he got the flying headbutt off an English guy who got CTE and lost the use of his legs. And he visited this English guy. The English guy was like, he's called like Billy the Bulldog. And Billy the Bulldog was really horrible to his family because he had CTE. And he said in like a moment of clarity to Chris Benoit, don't do it. Stop doing it. It's going to ruin your life. Like, you're not supposed to just land on your head 200 times a night for the rest of your life. That's not a good idea. And he just did it anyway. And then he got CTE and killed his whole family.
Wow.
So,
if he had take headed of that warning.
Heeded.
No, it's the
The
Office.
Sorry,
Anyway, look.
God damn it. With a bunch of fucking nerds.
I did Andre the Giant. And if you don't know about Andre the Giant, here's the headlines. Born May 1956 to a farming family in northern France. His birth name was Andre Roussimoff. Yeah, I think. Sorry if I'm not saying that right, but it looks like Andrei Rusumov to my anglicized eyes. He was a 6-kilo baby. To put that into perspective, the average baby is 3 kilos. He weighed twice as much as the average baby.
How many pounds?
6 kg.
Because my son was a big baby.
13.2 pounds.
Jeez. So yeah, my son was 9'11", which is quite big. That's that's very large. Yeah, really big.
Wow.
And he's 4 pounds larger than that.
That's fucking crazy. He's like a half. He's like 1.5. Damn.
That's
respect
mad.
To
anyway,
his mother.
And by the time he was 12, he was 6'3".
I can see this.
By the time he was 12,
say that again.
So by the time he was 12, he was 6'3".
What?
As the result, he had giganticism as the result of excessive growth hormones. So he was just massive.
I knew someone who was, I think, maybe 6'1", 6'2" when they were like 11 years old. He was like just like really lanky, but just like he basically grew to like 6'2", 6'3", and then never grew again. It was just like that for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Well, the thing is Andrei did not stop growing. But weirdly enough, there's a little fun fact for you. While he was at school, he was actually driven to school by the English playwright Samuel Beckett. And they actually got on really well because he's relatively famous. Anyway,
what's again, sorry? Samuel Beckett.
Let me Google it. I did know, and then I've gone blank.
What is a playwright? Are they people who write plays?
Yeah, like Shakespeare, mate.
Okay.
You taking the piss? Even I know who a playwright is, and I can't even fucking read.
I've seen like 3 plays in my life.
So I tell a lie. He was actually a novelist, dramatist, and short story writer. So he's basically just a writer. Okay. But he wrote the play Endgame, which I think is his biggest work.
Yeah, that's quite big, I've heard. Thanos.
Yeah, for a split second there, I genuinely thought you were talking about the Marvel Endgame.
Let's just pretend he did.
Okay.
Yeah, so he wrote Avengers Endgame, but the weird thing is they got on really well because despite what would become like his image later in life, he actually was quite an intelligent guy. He did relatively well at school. He was pretty good at maths. He wasn't this big lumbering idiot. They got on pretty well. They used to talk about cricket a lot. He was just a normal lad, but he did leave school at 14, which a lot of people think he quit school. He didn't. That's just the earliest time you can leave school in France, and he went to become a farm labourer for his father. However, even as a teenager, he had this like aura, this myth about him, this legendization of his character, because as a teenager, rumors started to spread that he could do the work of 3 regular men in a single day because he was so massive and so hardworking and so athletic. Aged 18, he moved to France and started training to be a pro wrestler whilst also working as like a mover, like a furniture mover. And pretty quickly, he became a big deal, literally. His enormous size got people through the door. And within a few years, he was going around the world, he was doing shows, and then he did like a kind of residency in Canada. However, the big problem with Andre the Giant's early career was that he was so massive that once people had seen him once, they didn't really come back. Because it was like, well, we've seen the massive guy do wrestling. Like, what more is there to it than that?
He's not like doing triple backflips, is he? Like, he's just massive.
The thing was, he was actually very athletic, and he did used to do a lot of the stunts that the other wrestlers could do, but it was kind of, he didn't have a character. He was just a wrestler that was big. He didn't have this like character that he would later get known in. And that all changed when Vince McMahon Sr., the founder of the Worldwide Wrestling Foundation, found him, and he signed him to the WWF, as it was then called, and taught him. There used to be 3 Ws. It used to be the Worldwide rather than just the World Wrestling.
And then it was just
Foundation.
the WWF, and then they had to change it to WWE.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then went to WWF. Okay, yeah, cool, yeah.
Yeah. So Anyway, McMahon taught Andre to create more of a character for himself and actually encouraged him to lean into this idea of being a big, lumbering, unstoppable giant, and actually convinced him to stop performing feats of athleticism and instead perform feats of strength, because that's what people wanted to see. So he stopped doing stuff like drop kicks and jumping off the top ropes and instead started body slamming people and throwing people around and became known as this big, burly guy. And slowly but surely, he became one of the beloved good guys in wrestling, or face characters, as I've just learned they're called. Apparently, there's a thing called face and heel. I've never heard of that. You've got to remember, I don't really know much about professional wrestling, but apparently the good guys are face and the bad guys are heel. And turning heel is when you turn from a good guy to a bad guy. I didn't know that. Found that out today.
Interesting.
Anyway, his enormous size, he's very charismatic. He plays this stern, because he can't speak the best English, he plays a sort of stern, not responding, kind of arrogant big guy very well. But he played a face. He was a goodie in the
eyes of the Lord.
In the eyes of the Lord and in the eyes of the WWF fans. In fact, he didn't lose a fight in the WWF for something like 15 years. He just became known as this unstoppable force, and they would kind of throw in guys and he would just chuck them about, and it was like, oh my God, who'll ever beat this guy? Anyway, but alongside this, he also had a kind of a character, and this is why I think he's the GOAT, is that his character transcended WWF. He wasn't just Andre the Giant in the ring. He was Andre the Giant to everyone. And legends of his feats of strength and endurance followed him everywhere. Like, there was talk about him, drinking enormous amounts of alcohol and then passing out in bars and hotel lobbies. And he was so heavy that the staff wouldn't be able to move him. And there's like several genuinely well-documented sources of him easily consuming over 70 litres of beer in a single sitting and regularly drinking bars dry.
Like I was listening to this clip of this guy. I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and Joe Rogan was like, so how much could he drink? And he was like, let me fucking tell you, right? We stopped off at this like gas station and we picked up 3 crates of like 24 beers. So that's like 60, 70 beers. And it was like a 2-hour drive. And like we got to the end of the, he just thought, Andre was just having a few. We got to the end of the, got to the hotel and they were just all gone. There was just all cans on the floor. And the bloke was like, he was expecting to see him like pissing himself or like stumbling out of the car, and he was just basically fine. Yeah. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, he was an animal, but he's a massive guy. He also around this time was diagnosed with a disorder related to his gigantism, but I don't quite fully understand. But it's something to do with like his organs being a little bit too big, and things started to become like he had quite a lot of health conditions associated with his gigantism that he left untreated, and that's a big key part of his life. He just refused to deal with a lot of it, and in fact actually kind of did stuff that was probably worse and made things harder, like carrying such an enormous amount of weight. He actually as a kid wasn't as big. Like he was a big guy. If you look at videos of him, he's kind of overweight. He's got a big belly.
He was more lean back then, but now he kind of bloated out.
And obviously putting on that much weight when you're that massive starts to put massive stress on your bones and your heart. And anyway,
just your heart, really, like your heart to carry that much blood to pump around to feed your gigantic organs and everything else is just, it's you're putting that pump under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I bet.
Exactly. But what's interesting about him is, despite having this sort of aura of this big kind of almost scary guy, he was also known for being really nice. A genuine gentle giant, and nice and very bright, and would hold very interesting conversations with people he met, and was always kind of bumping into celebrities who would be sort of taken aback by how chilled out, and he wasn't even particularly arrogant. He kind of just was a bit bemused by the whole thing. Really, there's a really famous story where he would always pay for people's meals even if they were significantly more wealthy than him. It was just like he just felt weird not paying for people's meals. And there's a really famous story that Arnold Schwarzenegger tells of Arnold got up halfway through the meal to try and pay before Andre would pay, and then Andre saw him and literally just picked him up and moved him and like put him back in his chair. And that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's how big this guy is. He's lifting up Arnold Schwarzenegger and putting him back in his chair like a baby. Like it's just mad. Anyway, and also to put into perspective, paying for people's meals even if they're richer than he is, that's saying something, because he actually is reported in the Guinness World Records as the highest paid pro wrestler of all time.
Even to this day.
However,
surely not to this day. Maybe adjusted for inflation or something.
Adjusted for inflation, and also adjusted. It's just in terms of single salary. Like I think The Rock and people like that make more of advertising and stuff. But in terms of like a single paid salary deal, he was on the equivalent of like $2.5 million a year or something, which doesn't seem like that much, but he's still in the Guinness World Records. I don't know where that lines up anymore, but he was very wealthy for his time anyway, and he was a superstar. However, the real highlight of his career actually came towards the end of his career. He became a real fan favorite, one of those guys that would just get wheeled out. Everyone kind of liked him, and then his time started to pass, and a new guy came on the scene, Hulk Hogan. And obviously Hulk Hogan is the all-American hero, and he needed someone to fight to establish himself. And Andre the Giant was kind of happy to pass on that mantle. He was coming, his health complications had started to catch up with him. He was struggling more and more every fight. Apparently his bones would just ache from just standing. Like his legs would just ache because he was so enormous.
Yeah.
But in 1967, despite the fact that he was having serious problems with his untreated various heart conditions, and he'd had a back surgery that meant that he had to wear a back brace under his unitard, he committed to fighting Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 in the headline act. And to do this, and this is something that I think is very cool and very admirable, he agreed to turn heel. So he allowed the public to hate him. He turned into the bad guy, and he fought for the first time ever at WrestleMania with the fans booing him. And myths surrounding to this fight, even to the myths surrounded this fight even to this day. Allegedly, Vince McMahon Jr., who'd taken over from his dad, didn't even know the winner before it was going to happen. He did. Andre had already given the go-ahead for Hulk Hogan to defeat him in one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history, the body slam heard around the world, in which Hulk Hogan lifted 200. Bearing in mind at this point, he weighs almost a quarter of a ton. Hulk Hogan, with Andre's aid, by sort of throwing himself up a bit, lifted him above his head and slammed him onto the ground.
Jesus.
And the effort of doing that tore the trap muscles in Hulk Hogan's shoulders.
Yeah.
Damn. I bet.
And that was going out with a bang. Sadly, he would do a couple more sporadic performances, but would die just 5 years later as a result of a sudden heart attack just days after his father's funeral. He was seemingly doing all right, but his health was in pretty bad shape. He just went out to meet some friends in Paris, played cards, socialized, seemed to be fine, went back to his hotel and died. However, in that 46 years he'd been on in the 46 years he'd been on the planet, he'd established himself as an absolute wrestling icon, and more than that, I think a pop culture icon. Everyone has heard the name Andre the Giant. I think some people don't even know what he looks like. It's more of a myth. What I think is almost amazing about him is he almost sounds like something from biblical history.
Yeah,
like
Goliath.
The
Goliath, yeah.
Yeah, when you hear Andre the Giant, you don't think he was a guy who lived this century. You think he's like someone written about in Greek literature.
Yeah.
And another fun fact is that the face on, the street art turned brand Obey, where it's like Obey and it's got a face underneath it. That's actually Andre the Giant. That's his face.
Oh, really?
Is it?
Yeah. But to summarize, look, I'm not saying he's the most athletic wrestler ever. I'm not saying he's the most famous. He might not even be the biggest. Like, he might not, maybe there's a taller wrestler somewhere. But I just think Andre the Giant encompasses everything that I associate with pro wrestling. It's spectacle, it's performance, it's shock factor, and it's charisma. And I just think, to me, when I think of the biggest, best pro wrestler, the most famous, the most mythicized guy, it has to be Andre the Giant. Just has to be. And that's the end of my presentation.
Bang on time. Absolutely bang on time. Well done, sir. But yeah, to go back to what you said about the whole, he's almost bigger than wrestling itself. Like, I actually fully agree with that, because growing up, I would always hear things like Andre the Giant this, Andre the Giant that. I didn't know he was a wrestler in the WWF or WWF. I literally had no idea he was an actual wrestler. I didn't think he was a real guy, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it's just insane.
No, I didn't. No, I mean, I didn't. I remember hearing, like, I'm pretty sure there's an Eminem lyric where he talks about Andre the Giant, or does he call Dr. Dre Andre the Giant? Something anyway. And I remember being like, oh, who's that? Like, it sounded like something, like I said, from like myth and legend, like biblical history. And then you look it up and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is a fucking enormous French guy from the 50s.
Yeah.
He is massive.
Was he around in the 50s? Was that like his heydays?
No, he was born in 1946.
Oh, okay. So he was.
Like, he wrestled
the 70s and 80s were like the 70s and 80s. Whereas,
he basically wrestled from the start of the 70s to the start of the 90s.
Okay.
He died in 1992, but he was still kind of doing performances. He actually performed like, I want to say like a week before he died. He was still going. And he was still, the thing is, because he was so massive, he was still able to do these feats of strength, even though he wasn't that well, because he's just such a big guy.
He's just so big. He can like crush a fucking watermelon, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because he's massive. Like, he could pick a guy and throw him out the ring, even though he's like dying, because he's just huge.
I think it's a little bit of a sad story about Andre, because he was like quite bullied in a way by society a lot, because they kind of called him a freak, didn't they? And they like wheeled him out to get him to do these freak things, and people would just like gawp at him and how big he was, and he was very depressed about that and stuff. So
really,
I think
really. I wonder if you would ask him, like, if you could bring him back from the grave and say, look, do you want to go back into wrestling? I wonder if you would say yes.
Yeah, that's.
I reckon he'd be like, you know what? I reckon I'd rather just be like a farm, like make more chill life and not have that attention, because it was
put me back in. I don't want to fucking leave. I've lived for too long. Fuck that shit.
But he was kind of like the freak they wheeled out, and it's a really sad story as well about his life. There is that element to it as well, but he is a beast.
Tragic, yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit tragic.
It is that, like, and it's also hard. Like, I think there is that element of, he was a very bright guy, but people kind of just assumed he was an idiot because
they did,
and like, he was very bright, like very capable, very like, you know, educated, and understood what was going on around him, understood politics, understood a lot of things, but people just kind of assumed he was an idiot. But I think it was up and down. I think he did have a relatively good time, and I think he definitely enjoyed going. Like, I think it's one of those things where he enjoyed the perks, but he maybe didn't enjoy the job, like people staring at him, something like he would always go back to France and, you know, burn money on just taking loads of people out for dinner, and go back to his village and just be a big man about town and help people. And, like, I don't think he was. I think it's a real tough one. I think it's kind of like,
I think he probably loved wrestling, but he didn't like the like gawping and the like wheeling out of like, oh, Andre, hello, can you just like crush this can on your head? And he's like, for fuck's sake, yeah.
And it's also sad that he could do a lot, like, before his health started to decline, he could do like what's it called, drop kicks and jump off the ropes, and like, obviously as he got, but I think he was also probably encouraged a lot to like put on a lot of weight and kind of
just be a more of a beast.
And like, that obviously did affect his health. His health. But what a guy! I love Andre the Giant.
Yeah, not the GOAT, but very good.
He is the GOAT, mate.
There's a couple like really like iconic pictures of like him holding a regular Coke can in his hand, and you're like, that's not a regular Coke can, that's a tiny one. And you're like, oh, No, it's just a giant hand.
And
the other one is when he's like got all those girls around him. He's got like 6 girls within his like arm length, and it's like
it's his hands on the other thing.
Yeah,
it's like one of those weird shots was like, how was her arm so long? It's like, no, it's like the second girl from the end's hand.
Yeah,
but on Andre the Giant, it's just his like
his wingspan.
It's like Mrs. Incredible.
That is a great shout. Thank you very much for that. Andre the Giant,
no worries.
Absolute icon for absolute certainty. He's definitely like up there with Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, John Cena, the Rock for me. He's definitely one of
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Triple H.
The
Undertaker.
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio's fucking beast, isn't he?
He was my favorite as a kid. But yeah. Of course, the WWE is the most famous wrestling competition in the world, and contained within it are some of the most iconic wrestlers of all time, who each have their own host of famous signature moves.
Oh yeah!
But how well do you two know these signature moves? And
I knew this was coming.
This is also WWF and WWF as well as WWE. So it's
okay.
It's got everything. So
I knew this quiz was gonna happen though.
I'm
inevitable.
I'm stuck here because I don't know any of them.
So how I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna describe the move and then say the move's name, just so you're clear exactly what the move is.
Yep.
And then you can guess straight from there. And if you get it right, 2 points. But if you want the multiple choices, and you still, I'll give you 3, and then I'll give you 1 point if you get that right. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Mork, first. So, taking off an elbow pad, throwing it into the audience, then running back and forth across the ropes before dropping an elbow onto the opponent. This was called the People's
Elbow. And it was from The Rock.
You are correct. It's from...
You would go like, slap his legs
fan himself.
Go like, boom, boom, boom.
Okay,
see ya.
Are we trying to guess the person who did the move?
Like their signature move, like that was them. Like other people may
Here's
have
the
done
move.
at some point.
Who's the wrestler?
Yeah.
So Seb, if I said like flying headbutt or family murderer, you could say
Chris Benoit. It's Chris Benoit.
Family murderer is not a signature move.
Well, it is. That's the
It was.
He did it one time.
It was pretty significant.
You kill your family one time, and that's what you're remembered for. That's only what he's thinking. Really didn't he kill himself afterwards?
He did. Also, the really fucked up thing, he was called the Canadian Crippler because he broke a man's back and paralyzed him by accident.
Oh, fucking wow. God, you cripple one person's back one time.
Yeah. You knew he had to go back, cripple the rest of them.
Oh,
Sebek.
Just cut that.
Sebek.
Yes.
Starting by hanging the opponent over the second rope, you make a running start and then grab the second and top rope before swinging your entire body around, hitting the opponent in the face with your feet. Is known as the 619.
Oh my god, I know this.
Who did the 619?
If he doesn't get it, I gotta be able to steal it.
No, you do the can you do the multiple choice because
Yeah, okay. So is it A, Triple H? Is it B, Rey Mysterio? Is it C, Kurt Angle?
Oh, it's Rey Mysterio. It's definitely Rey Mysterio.
Booyaka, booyaka! 619!
619! Booyaka, booyaka!
So that's 1 point for you, Sebek. Nice. I think you guys probably should be able to get all of these, to be honest. I feel like they're quite easy.
Easy.
I might struggle.
Yeah, to be fair, I feel like Mork's going to win this one, but we'll still do it anyway. Still fun. Mork. Waving your hand in front of your face.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, easy. John Cena.
Yeah, the 5-knuckle shuffle. It's John Cena.
My favourite thing, there's a great clip of him talking about how he ended up being called John Cena and doing that. And it's because he'd been trying really hard to get into pro wrestling for ages. And then he was just going to some random bout in some backwater town in the middle of nowhere, like near his hometown. And his brother was like, oh, no one fucking watches this. Wouldn't it be really funny if you just came out using your own name? And went like this and said, "You can't see me," and he was like, "That was stupid. I'll never." And he was like, "Well, I bet you won't do it." And then he did it, and then like one of the McMahon family was in the audience and signed him, and he was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Now he's got to stick with it.
Now he has to be John Cena and shout, "You can't see me" for the rest of his life. But he thinks it's really funny. Like he's just like, whatever, funny as fuck.
He's rich as fuck. He don't care.
Actually, yeah. To be fair, John Cena stars in this comedy superhero film called Peacemaker. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's actually so funny. It's like I did not know John Cena could be that funny of an actor. Like he's like the main character as well. Like it's really.
He's one of those guys who's just like, I bet he's fucking good at everything.
Yeah.
I bet if you just gave him like a football, he'd just like boost it top corner, and you're like, for fuck's sake. And he's good at wrestling. And he's like a beast, and he's like, you want him to be a bit of a dick, but he's such a nice guy, and he does all this charity work, and he's funny. So, so fuck off, mate.
The only funny bit in the film Trainwreck by Amy Schumer is the bit with John Cena in it, where they're in a cinema and he threatens to like suck a guy off, but he did, and she's going like, "Dude, all your insults sound super gay," and he's like, "I'll suck you off right now. You think I won't suck you off?" And she's like, "Dude, what are you saying?" It's really funny. He's like, just I love John Cena.
Yeah, I won't be watching any movie by Amy Schumer though, unfortunately.
No, I mean, she's probably stolen all the jokes.
So
yes,
grabbing the opponent, flipping them upside down, so you're in a sort of standing 69 position. And then dropping your opponent on their head whilst you still hold them is known as the tombstone pile driver. Who did it?
Oh, come on, Seb, this is easy.
But it's not, because I don't know.
I'll help you. Think about just say the name out loud.
In theory, it sounds like the Undertaker. It sounds like what the Undertaker would do. Because it's a tombstone and he's an Undertaker.
And is wrestling...
Is that your answer?
Yeah, I guess. It's either him or Triple H, I think. I don't know.
It is The Undertaker. You are correct.
Yeah. Wrestling's easy.
Yeah. Okay,
they're not going to be like The Undertaker and his thing is like the bunny bounce.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
It's going to be to do with death, isn't it?
Oh, I actually forgot to write the name of the move from the last one. Hang on one sec. Let me just quickly look it up.
Oh, fuck's sake.
That sound of the Undertaker when it goes like dong, that is so iconic.
Yeah, and he just like raises from the dead and just like stares at them. Yeah,
it's cool.
He was freaky.
Him and Kane.
Who's the one with like the weird, like slightly gross face and like matted hair? Was that Mankind? Kane.
Yeah.
Kane had like a mask and like matted hair. Kind of looks a little bit like Jason, I guess.
Yeah. He took his mask off at some point and he just became...
Yeah, and he's just like some bald fella. And you're like, oh.
Who's that really
I thought he'd have like a skull like fucking Scorpion, but he's just some bald geezer.
What's that really famous clip of the guy and he takes the mask off and underneath is just the mask again? Like it's just...
I have no idea.
Who's that? Let me find it.
While you find it, I'll ask Mork his question.
Yep.
So you get your opponent on the floor in the corner of the ring, and then you shove your ass into their face before gyrating your hips and doing a face that looks like you're taking a shit. Is known as the stink face. But who did it?
I know who the guy. He's got like tattoos on his face and stuff. Is it? I feel like it's like. Is it? If I get the name pretty close, can I have it? Because I can't remember the exact. Is it like Umaga or something like that?
Not even close to Umaga.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Rikishi.
Oh, Rikishi!
It's Rikishi.
Yeah! He would have been... Oh, Rikishi, yeah.
Okay.
I would have thought this would be like the Rikishi bomb.
No, apparently it's called the stink face.
Fair.
Sebek, you still with us? Uh-oh.
He's been hit with a stink face.
Oh, there he is, yeah.
I'm trying to find this video. Anyway, I can't find it. And it's a great video. This guy, it's a wrestler. He's pretending to be a fan in the crowd, wearing like a mask of the wrestler's face. The mask looks a bit like one of the guys from Kiss. I don't know who that is. He's got like white
Stinger.
eyes.
It's from
Stinger,
WWF.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw when I was researching. He's like one of the iconic ones from the WWF era.
So Stinger takes off his mask. He's like pretending to be a fan. He takes off his Stinger mask, and underneath he just has the face paint of his own face. It's great.
That's so funny.
The mask is just exactly the same, and it's like, oh my god, it's him. Yeah.
Oh no.
That's it.
Okay, Sebek, this is the last question.
Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, fuck it. No, don't worry. I'll just find it later. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm ready.
The last question. You're actually only 1 point behind Mork, so if you get this straight away, well done, you win. If you get it with the multiple choice, then I actually forgot to do a tiebreaker, so I'll have to make up something on the spot.
Okay.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope you get it straight away. You grab your opponent so that their legs are wrapped around your lower torso, and then you throw them to the ground. It's called the Spine Buster.
That could be anybody.
But whose signature move was the Spine Buster?
Yeah.
What's weird is my head is saying Chris Benoit, but it's not. It's the flying headbutt, so we know that.
You just got Chris Benoit on the mind.
No, that's because he busted that other guy's spine.
Oh yeah.
Got Chris Benoit on the brain.
Don't we all?
Well, he did as well. No, I'm going to need multiple choice. I'm going to need multiple. Trouble is, I still don't know.
So
actually, no, don't give me multiple choice because I don't know. So I just need to like
you'll have a. I'm sure you might. You'll have a way better chance of getting if you get multiple choice.
Okay,
and you definitely will, even if it's just 1 and 3. Okay, so is it A, Randy Savage? Is it B, Triple H? Or is it C, Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No, but the worst bit is those are like the 3 ones I had in my brain. I don't know anyone else. Triple H. Triple H is. Oh no, I'm thinking of the Big Show. Breaker. That's a pretty cold thing to do. I feel like Macho Man Randy Savage's one would maybe be a bit more like, woo, like I don't know, a bit more exciting. Like it'd be a bit more of a play on him being macho. I don't feel like Spine Buster really works. Triple H.
Macho fucking break someone's neck.
That's true.
I don't know who this is, by the way. I would get this. I would struggle too.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's pretty cold to snap someone's back. Triple H. Don't think it works.
Saying names.
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio's not on there.
Oh no, who did you? Not Raymond. No, Macho Man Randy Savage. I just feel like Macho Man Randy Savage's would be like the Macho Machine Bomb or something. Like it would be like a. I'm gonna say Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It was Triple H.
Oh yes, I'm the wrestling world champion.
That was close. That was close.
That was close.
That was a close one. That was a close one.
I should have known Rikishi, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to remember. Like I remembered Rikishi, but I wouldn't have been able to say Rikishi. I would never.
Rikishi,
that name wouldn't have come up for me. But yeah, well done for that. Well done for winning the middle game. More cool. Now,
thank you.
Can you win the actual thing? The whole episode.
So, wrestling for me is something that I'm fairly nostalgic about, but not like immensely nostalgic about. So I've always loved combat sports, boxing from a really young age, and slightly later MMA. And obviously during this time in the early 2000s, wrestling, and in particular the WWE, was fucking huge. And although I did like it, I obviously saw it as fake and therefore inferior to boxing, which is real. Boxing is a real sport where you actually get hurt and you actually fight, and wrestling is fake and scripted and therefore it's lame. And although I had this way of thinking, I actually always really enjoyed playing wrestling, like with my mates, you know, pretending to jump off the top rope and fucking 5-star frog splash one of them onto a mattress on the floor, dropping the people's elbows on someone's head or hitting them with a Batista bomb. And in fact, in year 5, myself and a couple of others took our wrestling way too far and we all got genuinely hurt one lunchtime. And we were punished with a week's internal exclusion from school. And we were forced to stay in school during a luncheon break and just play with Lego, which is not really much of a punishment, really. And also, it's something that unless she listens to this, I still haven't told my mum happened. So, yeah, I did actually get excluded for a week, Mum. You've never known that, but it happened. But anyway, fucking wrestling, right? And it's funny that we're doing this episode now, because despite not even thinking about wrestling for nearly 20 years, a couple of months ago on the way back from a stag do, wrestling was, for some bizarre reason, the only thing that me and a few mates spoke about. Shout outs to Mark, Yusuf, and Harry for that car journey. And I've no idea why we were talking about it. It was just this incredible nostalgia trip. And I finally appreciated the fakeness that I was so against, because it's just hilarious entertainment.
Yeah,
I was just obsessed with it again.
I feel like with wrestling, a lot of people, at least I went through this stage, and I feel like a lot of people did as well. Like how you start off really young and you think it's real, and you love it, and you love all the storylines. And like, oh my god, they brought someone back from the dead. They can do that, Mum. You know.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you grow up and you realize this is extremely fake, and then you're like, this is lame. I don't want to watch this. It's so fake. They're not actually fighting. They're pretend fighting. And then after a while, when you're an adult for a bit, you might catch a glimpse of some wrestling. I watched a bit of wrestling today, and you're like, I actually respect this a lot more than I did.
It's
back
fucking
in the day.
awesome, isn't it?
It's actually quite fun. Like it's definitely fake. Like obviously, but like
the athleticism of like doing with moves.
It's still like a great like physical performance as well, and all the characters and their storylines. It's just like fun to keep up with.
But also that like lineage of like pretend fighting is probably as old as combat sport itself. Like putting on a performance for a crowd is, you wouldn't go to a play and be like, but you're not actually driving a car. Like you're engaged.
How does no one else see this? Stand and shout.
You're not really doing Formula One. Like
it's not really dead. It's not a real gun.
Like performance, it actually is like much more in keeping with traditional performance theatre than I think normal, a lot of people would give it credit for.
I think so.
It's a thing.
I think if you like LARP with it, it makes it really funny and really entertaining. If you just go along with it and just be like, this is fucking hilarious. And so then, to think about the GOAT, obviously they have to be the most entertaining. And just like on that car journey from the stag do, I can only think of one name. There is only one name of one GOAT. Dim the lights. Booyaka, booyaka! 619!
Yes!
Booyaka! It's Rey Mysterio, boys! Yes, that's right. Yes. Fucking Rey Mysterio.
Okay, yeah, that's the mask. Goat. Let's go home. No.
The mask wearing Lucha Libre high flying legend. Now, Rey Mysterio's real name is Oscar Gutierrez Rubio. And he was born on the 11th of September, 1974. And he started wrestling in Mexico aged 14, where he learned the lucha libre style of high-flying Mexican wrestling. And he obviously donned a classic lucha libre mask, which, interestingly enough, he's never, ever removed. Ever.
I can... Obviously, in his private life, he probably has.
No, never. If you take his mask off, it's just another mask.
And another mask. And another mask. With the mask on. He sleeps with the mask on. He eats with the mask on. Swims with the mask on.
So what you're saying is he's never done a public appearance without the mask on?
Yeah.
I think he has, but...
Even that.
It was just a joke. It was just a funny joke, guys.
Well, no, because I thought you might, like... Because obviously it is in, like, Lucha Libre... It is, like, really... bad to be demasked. Like, you're not supposed to take your mask off.
He's pretty much never been like demasked, but I think you can see him without his mask on. And so he just moved around the various professional wrestling promotions and all that shit, but we don't really care about those because he joined the big one, WWE, in 2002. And rather than just giving a blow-by-blow of his entire WWE career, which is like nearly 20 years long, I thought I would just point out to the best bits, which actually matter, and make him the GOAT. Otherwise, we'll just be here forever. So let's talk about his moves and his style. I've already said that he's a high-flying lucha libre, and he really is fucking flying. Like, this man's got wings, right? Unlike Andre the Giant, he doesn't need to be huge. He's only 5'9". And in a world where most wrestlers are just this gigantic monsters, like Ray really has to stand out and use his size to his advantage. And he does this by jumping all around the place. His first move in his roster is the Flying Hurricana, where he running jumps off the ring, or sometimes off the ropes, and then he mid-air wraps his legs around his opponent's head and uses the momentum to like swing his body and basically fucking yeet his victim by their head as Ray just lands on his feet. So he just jumps onto them, grabs them with his legs, fucking spins them and launches them with his legs while he just lands on his feet. It's incredible. Then we have the Frog Splash. The Frog Splash is simple. Get up on the top rope, leap into the air as high as you can like a frog, and then wham, you just slam into your opponent. Then you've got this move that I think it's called the Springboard, where, again, you get on the top rope, obviously. He jumps off, and he lands on the guy's head with, like, his legs. He then flips him in one solid move. So imagine he's, like, sat on his shoulders. He flips backwards and flips the guy a full 360 so that the guy lands on his stomach on the floor, and Rey Mysterio's just sat on his back, grabs his legs, the guy on the floor, pulls him over his head, and just fucking like wrestles him and submits him. Pow. Incredible. And these are some pretty good moves, right? These are some pretty fucking crazy moves. You would not see Andre the Giant doing that. But he's known really for one thing. He's known for one thing, right? The motherfucking 619. You know what I mean? Booyaka, booyaka, 619.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And so, for those who don't know or didn't listen to the middle section, what is the 619? And this is incredible because me and Vinny have basically written the exact same thing. And I just did it off the top of my head to write what a 619 is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you've got your opponent, Days, and their head is hanging out of the ropes, and he's like leaning on them. Ray then runs to the other side of the ring, bounces off the ropes, runs towards the guy, grabs the top and middle rope, sideways flies through the ropes, and double kicks the guy in the face. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's the best. Sorry, because I lost my space as I scrolled. It's the best thing. It's the best thing you could ever see, and I love it. And it's so iconic.
Would you, if we got like a ring, would you 619? Could we 619 each other?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll give a go 619 in someone.
Okay, but well, no, because I think the thing with the 619 is you both got to give and receive.
No, it's a one-way thing with the 619. You're like basically knocked out, and I'm gonna fucking 619 you, mate.
Well, no, I'd like to 619 you.
No, don't work like
before being knocked out.
Well, yeah, he's a fucking wrestler, so.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention a couple of his best 619s. And I understand that this might start to sound a little bit I understand this might start to sound a little bit erotic, but it's not. It's wrestling, all right? It's fucking real wrestling. So he actually 619 John Cena once.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Well, I can watch that.
And obviously, John Cena's fucking massive and a legend. So the fact that he got humiliated with a booyaka, booyaka 619, that's pretty impressive that he managed to 619 John Cena. He once hit The Undertaker with 2 619s in a row in the same match.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Hit him with a 619, then he pulls him back up again. Boom, 619 a second time.
Wow.
He also had a match with the absolute unit and legend, as we've already mentioned, Brock Lesnar. Guess what happened, right? You actually, no. Guess what happened, because you actually won't guess what happened.
I won't.
Did he 619 him?
He got him into the 619 position. But wait. Rey Mysterio's son comes into the ring and they both together double 619 Brock Lesnar.
Oh my god,
absolute madness. One of the coolest moments ever. Literally, Brock Lesnar's in the ropes. Like, oh, everyone's like, Booyaka, Booyaka, come on, Booyaka, Booyaka. Dominic Mysterio comes into the ring and they're like fucking a high five. They both go back to the back ropes, fucking come back, bam, double 619. See ya.
Do you remember? Sorry, no, carry on.
So there is moves, right? So that's his moves and his style. I think all of us can agree that's pretty cool, right? It's pretty high flying. It's pretty rad.
Pretty cool, yeah.
What about his storylines? Well, I just wanted to feature just one storyline that I think is probably the most ridiculous that he's ever been involved with. And it's about his son, Dominic. He's a wrestler, as I just mentioned, age 26. And he's been his father's tag team partner for quite a lot of time. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly and probably butcher the whole thing. So just bear with me, right?
Okay.
Ray and Dom, their father and son, happy days, respect, and partners. Some beef shit happens with some other dudes. I think they're called like freedom fighters or some shit. They got some kind of name, Judgment Day or something. And they kind of like convinced Dom, they're like, oh, Dom, mate, you need to fucking Rey Mysterio's like a bella and like get out of his shadow and shit. Like, you know, he's old and that. And like, there's some fights and shit happens and like tensions are high and it's like, oh, look, he's gonna like betray him and shit. And then like this bloke Edge, he comes in to like help them with this fight, but he's like on Rey and Dom's side, but he accidentally spears Dominic Mysterio. And it's like, oh shit, and like it was an accident, but Dom doesn't think it was an accident and stuff. So Dom just fucking boots him in the nuts, and then he just clotheslines his own dad.
What?
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh shit, son, it's going down. Get out, oh shit, son, it's going fucking down, right? So then like Dom like spends ages like trying to instigate a fight with his father, but like just fails over and over. He's like, oh, you're not gonna hit me. Oh, he's trying to like, ride him up. He like gets himself arrested and like does some crazy shit. I don't think he actually got arrested, but like he got arrested, you know, and he like
it was in the
filmed some videos in prison. He's like, yo, prison fucking changes you, man. I'm gonna fucking shank you now and stuff. And it's like, whoa, shit. It's all coming to a boiling point, right? And then I don't know how this happened, but like Dominic Mysterio's like, oh, he's on the microphone in the ring, and like Rey Mysterio's there, and he's like chatting shit, and he like goes up to his mum, and he's like, how could you marry such a worthless piece of shit like that? Like that just makes you like a piece of shit as well. And he starts like screaming at his mum, and so Rey Mysterio just fucking comes up and fucking whacks him, bang, punch straight to the face, which probably not great to like, you know, advocate for violence against your kids. Well, he's a man. He's like nearly 30. But he's like, you don't disrespect your mother like that. You wanted me to hit you while I hit you. You want to fight? Well, we're going to have a fight. And in April of this year, they had a fucking fight, right?
Wow, they're still going.
They had their fight. They've already had their fight.
Who won?
And, well, let me tell you what happened, right? Dominic Mysterio's trying to do some dirty shit. He's like taking the pads off the top ropes and stuff. And while the referee's distracted, putting it back on, because he's not allowed to do it, like expose this little metal thing, he gets a metal chain that's been left on the side of the thing. And he's like, oh yeah, he's got this metal chain. But like some random guy, I don't know who it is, like comes up and like grabs the chain off of him. And Dom's like, oh shit. And while he's distracted by the end of the ropes, booyaka, booyaka, Rey Mysterio just comes along in 619 seconds.
Oh no, Dad, don't 619 me, no. Oh my god, that's actually epic. That's so legendary.
So good. It's so good, isn't it? Hit him with the fucking 619. Of course, well, I mean, the thing is, what else was he gonna do? What else was he gonna do? He was only ever gonna fucking 619 him, right?
True.
And so that was his most crazy storyline I could find, right? Pretty fucking mad. And you know, we can talk about like winning championships and all that kind of shit as a wrestler, but honestly, I don't think that makes you a GOAT wrestler winning stuff. And Rey Mysterio's won like 1 billion titles. But obviously it's scripted. They know who's going to win. They do it for hype up the next guy and all this.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it's your achievement. I think your achievement as a wrestler, and I think your goatness in wrestling is measured by your performance. You know, like how fucking crazy you get the crowd, like double 619 people, the whole fight with your son, jumping off the top ropes, backflip, you know, get him in between the legs, spin him around, submit him, like the whole mask, everything. Like Ray's performance is insane. It's the best ever. And I've covered so much, like I could have covered so much more, but like the basics is this. Rey Mysterio has the sickest moves, hands down. The sickest style, hands down. A sick song, Booyaka, Booyaka. Good stories with his 619 and his own son and all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, the most important thing, he is the owner, and his signature move is Booyaka, Booyaka, 619. And he wears a cool mask. And that's why he's the GOAT.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, Rey Mysterio, as I said before, was my favorite wrestler growing up. I think probably a big part was probably just he wore a mask, and I thought that was cool. And the mask could always be different colors as well. Like you'd always come with like a different colored mask every time.
Sometimes it'd have a mohawk on the mask.
Yeah.
All sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah. It's actually quite interesting because both of you have picked fairly similar wrestlers, but also on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. So like they're both not from America. They both came from, you know, Andre the Giant was from France. He came from France, and Rey Mysterio came from Lucha Libre in Mexico. So they're both foreigners in the WWE, but their fighting styles are probably as opposite as you can get. Andre the Giant, obviously, his whole thing was he was lumbering, big, massive, will crush a watermelon with his pinky, you know, and just like fight 6 men at one time just with one hand. Whereas Rey Mysterio was this fairly short guy, especially, you know, short for how, you know, the WWE.
Yeah, really small in the WWE.
But he would have so much agility and dexterity that and his acrobatics were just like so incredible to watch. You do all these flips, and the 619 is just such a cool.
It's so cool.
Such a cool finishing move. It's so cool. I don't know, like, because obviously the WWF was a long time before WWE. Like, did they have like a lot of signature moves back then? Did Andre the Giant? Do you know if he had any signature moves?
I feel like it was basically exactly the same thing. They changed the name because of WWF, the Worldwide Wildlife Foundation or whatever. They had like a copyright. They had a feud, so they just changed it to WWE. But I think it was exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because like Hulk Hogan, he had a signature move, didn't he? Where he'd like grab his handlebar mustache and like rev it up like a motorbike, run it and go vroom, and just slap. No, but that would
be sick. So it says he doesn't really have a finisher.
Okay.
As such, he just has like several moves that he would do, including the corner butt slam, the scoop slam toss, the step on chest, and the jumping head scissors.
Don't really have the same ring as the flying hurricane.
I don't think like he had like a signature move in the same way, but I don't know if like, because obviously Hulk Hogan was young when Andre the Giant was old. So
yeah.
He was like still of a different.
It's kind of a time before, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Rey Mysterio coming from Lucha Libre, there's a lot more flair and a lot more acrobatics in their style. So there's more like crazy moves, whereas Andre the Giant just fucking picks people up and throws them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I will say though is I'm really proud of the fact that we've both picked people for just their pure for wrestling's sake. We haven't gone.
Yeah.
Oh, he turned out to be the mayor of somewhere. Like it's just like. He was cool because he was good at wrestling.
He was the mayor of
but that's what wrestling's all about. Like, I don't give a fuck who the heavyweight champion of the world is. That makes no difference. I don't care that John Cena's won the million wrestling world champions. Like, Rey Mysterio makes you want to watch wrestling because when you show someone a YouTube clip of Rey Mysterio doing like a triple backflip, fucking double 619 in Brock Lesnar, that is sick. It doesn't matter about belts and all that other bollocks.
Yeah, you've both given me quite a tough choice, to be fair. And obviously it's quite difficult because, again, as a kid, Rey Mysterio is my favorite, so that is
because he's the best, mate.
There's going to be bias there. And
can I just say, can you imagine watching Rey Mysterio 619 Andre the Giant? That would be.
It would be incredible.
I think it would be amazing. Leg would shatter. Like, I don't think it would work.
No, he'd have to get his son in. They'd have to tag team him.
Oh, that's the other thing that Andre the Giant would do, but he would like no sell, but as part of the routine. So, like for instance, you know how like they'll smash a bottle over someone's head or like smash a plank of wood. Part of his act is that he would no sell it, so they would smash a log over his head, and he would just stand as though nothing had happened.
Well, they're not. They're made out of like fake wood and stuff.
Well, exactly, but that's the point. Whereas like other people would go flying back, whereas part of his character development was no selling. It was like he would get punched and just.
He's an unmovable object.
It was just a unit.
Yeah. But yeah, that is quite tricky for me to decide. How long was Rey Mysterio? Has he been fighting for? I didn't even realize he was. Going.
Well, he was in the WWE from 2002 to like 2018. Then he did a couple of other things. Like went back to, or 2015 maybe. Then he did a couple things for a couple other years. Went back to like Mexican wrestling and stuff. Then he had like a big return to the WWE in like I want to say like 2018, 2019, and he's been in since. He's still there now. I mean, he's like 48 or something.
He just 619 his own son.
Yeah, he just 619 his son.
On stage.
Yeah, he's been wrestling like since he was like 14 to like now. So like fucking ages.
God, that's
like
so
35
funny.
years.
That's so funny. And like I was saying before,
but it's not erotic. It's wrestling. Remember, audience.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
well, like I was saying before, again, with Rey Mysterio, there's a lot of bias, but with Andre the Giant, he was much before my time. I've never seen him wrestle, so like, it is honestly it's apples and oranges here for me. Like, it's very difficult to compare the two for me because I've got way more like knowledge of Rey Mysterio's stuff. But then Andre the Giant has that like iconography and that mythos around him, and people just like talking about and referencing him as this like mythical beast within our modern life.
It's got nothing to do with wrestling, though, has it? It's got nothing to do with 619.
That's everything to do with wrestling. He was like, he's the ultimate. His character was him. Like everyone knows him for his character, not his like his real persona.
Yeah, but can he do a backflip off the top rope?
He actually probably could have done when he was younger.
How about
when he was old?
How about this? So, if both of you just message me either rock, paper, or scissors.
Fuck off! No fucking way. No
way. God, fucking hell. Okay. Right, I need to stop procrastinating my decision.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like this is such a 50-50. I almost have to just throw a dart at the dartboard.
Don't throw a dart. Pick a proper winner.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I picked my winner. I have picked my winner.
Okay.
I have picked my winner. And so I think the tipping point for me is just how memorable the coming out music is for Rey Mysterio. I think that is the only thing that just tips it over the edge. The whole booyaka booyaka 619, like that is stuck in my head forever. Like they were so
what you
close.
gonna do? What you gonna do when he comes for you? Forgot about that.
Also, I just think the visceral reaction when Michael said that he 619'd his own son, like the genuine excitement from three grown men, that's unbelievable.
It's pure entertainment. It's so entertaining. It's crazy, man. I know for a fact you're gonna be looking that up when we get off this.
Also, I've never. This is not part of my like. I'd never engaged in pro wrestling really, and yet when Michael said, "What do you think he did next?" I involuntarily shouted, "Booyaka Booyaka 619." I've only known about Booyaka Booyaka 619 for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But you're gonna now you know about the 619. You're gonna go on. There's top 10 619 compilations everywhere, mate. Get on that. Watch it. So good.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, and I know this like, obviously this is his character and this is who he is, and obviously he couldn't help it, whatever. But like, he was just really really big, and it's like that's just he was born that way. It's not like he learnt to be that big, and yeah, he learned all the moves and stuff, but like.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio learned how to do all that stuff and like had all these crazy moves and stuff, and he had to learn those stuff like because he other than that he's just like a fighter.
He would have just been like a regular dude otherwise. Yeah.
He's
I guess Andre the Giant
athletic.
was. He could have been rubbish, but he's
like,
so big.
No slight against Andre the Giant. No slight.
Yeah. Obviously, no shade.
Not.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Legend.
not. Like
Both
man
legends.
is like mythology for sure.
Yeah.
Tragic. Tragic end to his life.
Yeah,
dying in his 40s.
Tragic.
That is really sad. Rest in peace, Andre the Giant.
R.I.P.
Yeah. I think that brings us to the end of the show. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed that and you want to listen to more, then follow us on fucking whatever, mate. Just fucking watch the YouTube vid. In fact, if you want to watch us actually.
Oh yeah.
Do all this
Actually
stuff
laugh
live and uncut, and you can actually see us just like making silly faces at each other during our speeches and try to pull each other off.
I'm gonna fucking go downstairs and 619 my dinner, mate.
Yes.
We need to do D&D stuff. Do you want to do that like now, or I don't know?
Oh, I'm really hungry.
What?
Get your dinner and come and bring it back up.
Could do it tomorrow morning because.
No, don't make him more late because he's got to come out with. We're doing it at 11, Seb.
11?
Yeah, we're starting at 11.
That's a very normal time, Seb.
Not for Seb.
I thought we were starting at 12, mate.
No, we're starting at 11.
Oh, mate.
So you've got to get here for that time or you're kicked out.
I'm going to 619.
Set your thing outside. It'll only take him like half an hour. He's quite good at this shit.
Yeah, it shouldn't take you too long.
But let's wrap up the show. Show.
Yeah, sorry. Do you know, can I go down and get my dinner and then come back up and then we'll do it?
Yeah, well, not when we'll wrap up the show first.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cut all this.
Yeah, obviously.
This stays. This is the cold open.
This whole thing.
This stays.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening. It's been fun learning about the GOAT wrestler, Rey Mysterio. If
I've loved
forgotten.
this episode.
Yeah, it was a great blast from the past. I can't remember how many names that I actually remembered of all these like
I know
characters.
Same.
And I remember playing like the video games as well. Like, the video games were like fantastic.
Yeah. Scorpion, R.I.P. He's lost somewhere in a save file. WWE SmackDown 2004.
I could never work out how to actually like finish people in that game. Like they'd had like so many lives.
Oh yeah.
One life bar would go down, then it'd been like, then they'd seem like they had no life, and then they just get back up, and you'd be like,
yeah, it would last like they would just get up straight away. You have to like mash buttons. There's some crazy thing. Yeah.
It's impossible.
It was impossible.
I tell you what, though, lads, we are due an absolute stinker of an episode because we've had some absolute bangers recently.
Yeah.
Like, the last 3 records have just been an absolute jape fest, and can only go downhill from here.
What's a jape fest?
You know, japes are like jokes.
Jape? What?
Like a jape.
It's like London slang, or what's jape?
No, jape. That's like an old-fashioned word. Like, oh, jape. 'Twas just a jape.
I've never heard that in my life.
I'm very glad to have got a win as well. I feel like I haven't had a win for like a fucking million years. I knew Rey Mysterio would bring it for me with the old 619. Rey Mysterio 619 me to the win.
And now
next episode is episode 69 though.
It is actually.
Oh,
yeah.
and we're doing the greatest genocide.
We'll have
So yeah, see you next week with Greatest Genocide.
No. We'll have something good though. We will have something good though, won't we?
We'll have something. I won't promise it's good.
But on that note, I think we should probably wrap
We
things
should definitely end the show.
Let's
like
go.
It's far, far too long.
Boyaka. Love you, bye. Boyaka.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Oh man. I fucking love Rey Mysterio.